Well, hello. It is Bourbon O'Clock. My name is Keith, and today I want to feature 7 bourbons and 1 rye that we can offer to someone who is just now getting into bourbon. Because if you have someone who's asking you that question, well, what is this bourbon thing all about? What's the big hype of it? And they want to experiment or become involved in it. You want to give them something that is soft on their palate. If you're like me and you got some heavy hitters as far as high proof in your arsenal, and that's the last thing you want to give them, because if you give them something too hot with too much heat, oh man, you lose them forever. They may never come back. So you want to give them something that's approachable, something smooth. So with that in mind, this is the 7 bourbons I think would be a good idea for someone just getting into bourbon. We start off first with Benchmark number 8. The 8 doesn't stand for years. It's maybe the recipe number 8 or whatever. It's only about, in this juice, maybe 3 years old age. But this is a good option because number 1, it's 80 proof, so it doesn't carry a lot of heat. And number 2, the MSRP for this, the cost is only $25, so it won't break the bank. But even though it is an 80 proofer, you still can get some notes out of this bourbon. Some notes of brown sugars, some chocolate, a little caramel. It's maybe not real punchy, not complex at all. But this is a good intro to a person who just now getting into bourbon. So Benchmark number 8 would be a good option. Another one would be Evan Williams single barrel, and as you can see, I dig it. Right, this is a good option for someone just now getting into bourbon. It's 86.6 proof, so we bumped it up just a little bit. MSRP for this is $30, so that's not so bad. Some of the tasting notes that you would get from here is that oak. You get a little oak in this, and you get a little vanilla. You get some spices in this one. Again, not too complex, but it's a good sipper. Even for those who are into bourbon, this has a pretty good mouthfeel to it. So you might want to give this one a try. Evan Williams single barrel. Here's another one. George Remus. Later I want to do a review on this because the story behind this particular bourbon is very interesting, especially with the George Remus, being the man behind it. But this is an excellent proof to start someone on. It's 94 proof, so we bumped up a little bit more. MSRP on this one is about $40. Okay. So in the tasting notes, though, you'll maybe pick up some brown sugar with this, which is like traditional bourbon flavors. But I get a little orange peel when I sip on this one, and again with nice flavors of caramel. So George Remus is one you might want to put on your list for a good introduction to bourbon. Now, this one is going to be hard to find for some. Here in Michigan, we can find this on the shelf, okay? And the MSRP on this is about $32, right? 94 proof, Buffalo Trace. Very good bourbon, very smooth, very tasty. You get brown sugar notes with this as well, dark fruit, a little toffee, that toffee candy, or a little chocolate. So this has got a lot of good mouthfeel flavors to it. A little bit more complex than the other ones I just showed you. If you're new to bourbon, and perhaps you hear a lot of people talk about the tasting notes, or nosing the bourbon to get the smell, the sense of the bourbon. Let me clue you in on something. There is no wrong note. So whatever you think you smell or taste out of a bourbon, that's right, that's correct. So let's just say, for instance, I get orange peel out of this. for some strange reason, this person never had an orange peel in his life. Well, they may not taste the orange peel because they don't know what an orange peel tastes like or smell like, right? But whatever they know about, that's what's going to, give them a familiar ring in the head. No, this tastes like this or that. So it's whatever you taste. Now, over time, the tasting notes and the nosing of bourbon can improve. And maybe that's something I can include on another episode later. But for right now, if you can find this, grab some Buffalo Trace. Now, this one I will call the granddaddy of bourbon introductions. Elijah Craig. This is some pretty good stuff here. Elijah Craig is at 94 proof. MSRP is like $32, $33 where I am. Tasting notes, you get rich tasting notes with this caramel, butterscotch. I get a like a chocolate chip brownie taste when I'm sipping on this. So this is an excellent choice of a bourbon to get someone who's just getting into it. So if you can find Elijah Craig, get that. Good stuff. Excellent thing. Okay. This is another one I had in my arsenal, Woodinville. Now, Woodinville comes in at 90 proof. And this is a very tasty bourbon as well. Let me change my notes here because I have to look at my notes as to what I wrote down for my tasting notes because, I'm older and I just can't remember everything. It happens, Try not to think about it, but what happens in life? You get older. You start to lose a little things up here. I try not to think about it much because if I did, I'm going to hit these a little bit more. So MSRP on this is about $40. Pretty good value on this. It's very, very, very tasty. Dark chocolate, vanilla bean, dark fruit, maybe like a raspberry or a dark cherry. Not too hot, but it's smooth. It's nice, easy transition to a good glass of bourbon. So Woodinville, keep that in mind. Try that if you can find it. We're gonna switch things up just a little bit. So this is larceny. So this is a little different because this is a wheated bourbon. And what I mean by that is, other than the bourbons that I showed you, that has, of course, the 51% corn, and then you have some rye, anywhere between 10 and 12%. And then you have your multi-barley. But this doesn't have the rye content. So it replaced the rye with a wheat content. So the flavor profile of this is a little different. To me, a wheated bourbon has a more buttery, sweet mouthfeel to it. So yeah, you want to give that a try. So this comes in at 92 proof. It is MSRP on this is $25. You want to get some brown sugar, some chocolate, some caramel notes out of this. Very good, very tasty. So if you can find this, pick up some larceny. In fact, it'd be a good idea if you can find Elijah Craig and larceny, to get these two and compare them against one another. And that way you can see the profile of a traditional bourbon and then a profile of a wheated bourbon to help you appreciate the variety in bourbons and the choices that we have. So that would be a good idea. So that was larceny. And we got one more. I want to introduce you to a nice rye, Michter's rye. Oh man, this is good. This comes in at 84 proof, so it's not too hot. Not overly spicy or anything, but man, it has some really good flavors. Some spice. Remember those red hot candies? Little red hot candies. Got a little bit of that in there. Cinnamon bun. I get a little cinnamon bun off this. Maybe some citrus fruits, like an orange or a ruby red grapefruit. So try this because this is excellent, which is what I have in my glass right here. Man, that is good. But this would be definitely a rye that would introduce to someone who are just not getting into bourbons and whiskeys and rye. So those are my choices. And yeah, just take a quick look at the choices that I presented. Okay, so I would love to hear from you. What might be some ryes or bourbons that you might present to someone just now getting into the wonderful world of whiskey? Leave in the comments. What's a bourbon you would recommend for a newbie? What's a wheated bourbon you would recommend to someone just getting into the bourbon club here? Or what's a rye that you would recommend? So leave that in the comments. I would also like to give a shout out to a liquor store that I frequent here in Belleville, Michigan, called French Landing. Man, they have some wonderful choices and selections of bourbon and scotch and all types of things. So if you're in the area, please check them out. Very knowledgeable about what they're doing there. And so, like always, I would like to thank you for joining me. Please like and subscribe. And as always, drink responsibly, and I will see you next time at Bourbon O'Clock. Take care.